The shadows within. Chapter 1. Moving in? I stared at the empty box in front of me, my hands trembling as I unpacked the last remnants of my life into our modest apartment. It was supposed to be a new beginning. A fresh start after my parents' divorce left me reeling. Instead, this place felt like a prison cell. The walls seemed to close in around me with every creak and groan they made at night. I had never experienced such anxiety before, but I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were watching me from the shadows. My roommate, Rachel, tried to reassure me it was normal after everything I'd been through. "It's just post that divorce stress," she'd say with a gentle smile. But those eyes still lingered in my dreams. Days turned into weeks, and things escalated. The creaks grew louder, more frequent. Whispers echoed from outside our bedroom window on the third floor of Oakwood Manor, an old apartment building nestled between towering skyscrapers in the city's heart. At first, I dismissed it as neighbors arguing or the wind. Yet one fateful night, Rachel and I huddled close to the glass, watching dark shapes dance across the moonlit courtyard. They moved fluidly, almost like people. Heart racing, she grabbed my arm. "Do you see that?" A chill crept up my spine. Shadows that looked decidedly human darted between the trees. In the morning's dawn light, I questioned what I had seen. Perhaps I was unraveling under pressure. Still, the night brought more unusual occurrences. Strange thumps reverberated from the walls, sounding almost like footsteps. A tap against our door at midnight caught me off guard. It was Mr. Jenkins, our elderly neighbor to my right. His eyes were sunken and his voice sounded different, older than usual. "You're new here, miss? Need any help with furniture?" It took effort not to snap at him. I accepted his offer. He lugged in a heavy box, as if possessed of youthful vigor despite his frailty. Over the next few days, Mr. Jenkins checked on me daily. His curious nature made me uneasy. "How old are you?" One evening, after a lengthy conversation about life and college aspirations, he asked too bluntly. I felt vulnerable sharing my age, but his genuine interest convinced me to confide in him. He listened intently as we sat by the window. The shadows returned, their movements fluid under the moonlight once more. "These old buildings hold secrets," he said cryptically before leaving with a knowing glance. Secrets. My mind began racing with possibilities. To calm my rattled nerves, I kept a journal to log events and feelings. Strange occurrences piled up. Clanging pipes at midnight, muffled voices when no one was there, and an unmistakable feeling of being watched. Jenkins' visits became more frequent. He'd often ask about my plans for the future with an intensity that bordered on obsessive curiosity. One evening, I scribbled in my journal, "Mr. Jenkins watches me when he thinks I'm not looking." It wasn't paranoia. It was fact. My gaze would meet his, and he'd quickly turn away. The shadows grew more frequent, as if echoing the turmoil within. I started to anticipate them now, almost expecting their appearance with each nightfall. Rachel remained blissfully oblivious, engrossed in her books or watching TV on her laptop. As sleep eluded me one night, I glanced out the window. Shadows moved erratically. They were unmistakable, long and lithe. My breath caught as they vanished behind our building's walls, just beyond Mr. Jenkins' door. A chill seeped into my bones that had nothing to do with the chilly autumn air. It was then I noticed a small, unlit room above his apartment. An open window facing the courtyard. The question burned in me. What did he hide? My journal now contained more than just nightmares. It held the unfolding mystery of Oakwood Manor. Chapter 2. Shadows. Rachel had been missing for 3 days when I found her note on our kitchen counter, written in a shaking hand. Sarah, please find help. They're here. The shadows outside now resembled silhouettes, humanoid and menacing under the full moon's glow. My heart raced as I considered every possibility. Jenkins was involved in some sinister activity. I rushed to his apartment, but he claimed ignorance and kindness. His lies dripped from his lips. I ventured upstairs. Darkness swallowed his home when I knocked on the door. Cautiously opening, it revealed an abandoned room that didn't match any building plans. A musty smell enveloped me as I stepped inside. Shadows flickered within. The air was heavy with the scent of old books and decay. Shelves lined both walls, filled with dusty volumes bound in leather, their titles written in a language I couldn't decipher. In the back room, I found cryptic messages etched into stone, "Until dawn in Soul's cage." The writing seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. My hand trembled as I copied them into my journal alongside increasingly disturbing events. Jenkins' late-at-night comings and goings, the missing roommate, and those damned shadows. I knew what I saw. It couldn't be explained by sanity. As I retreated down the stairs, a piece of paper clutched in my hand, I heard my name. Sarah. The voice was soft yet unmistakable, echoing from Mr. Jenkins' apartment. That evening, Rachel didn't return home for dinner or respond to calls and texts. The police wouldn't take an isolated incident seriously. I'd have to act myself. Stepping into his apartment, the atmosphere grew thick with malevolence. Mr. Jenkins? His eyes held a sinister sheen as he greeted me from the couch. You know my secrets now. My pulse skyrocketed. He admitted nothing under direct questioning, but asked about our roommate's whereabouts. Denials tumbled from his lips like practiced lines. In despair, I showed him the cryptic notes and whispered messages. For an unsettling moment, he stared at them with a hungry intensity. He said in a low tone that night was the longest of his life, implying something terrible had happened. Those shadows loomed outside my room again. Ethereal beings. Jenkins approached me as they moved with purposeful strides across the courtyard. His wrinkled hands extended, offering an ancient tome I recognized from our common room bookshelf. He mentioned the others and a secret Oakwood Manor history. My mind raced as he revealed his true nature, the weight of decades-old darkness. I had to confront him, for Rachel's sake and my own sanity. In the silence of night, clutching the journal for strength, I approached his door. Chapter 3. The Empty Room. I pushed open the creaky door, flashlight in hand. Jenkins sat hunched over a desk amidst stacks of dusty files. Miss Sarah, he croaked, eyes sunken under gaunt skin. The shadows danced behind him like dark puppets. You must know by now, I am not what you think. His voice rasped, aged at old leather binding his frail body. He spoke of soul cages and the others, beings trapped in a living nightmare. Rachel's room was one such cage, crafted centuries ago under the manor. The others fed, sustained by human suffering. I'd found proof. It was time to expose him. Handing over my journal, he revealed its pages were stained with blood. His victims. A photograph fell from an album. A girl within one of those cages. I'm just keeping them at bay, he rasped, the shadowy beings outside shifting with hunger. Terror surged as the others swirled in the courtyard, sensing freedom. Jenkins retreated into his cage to protect me, pleading I remove evidence. The last shred of proof against him. Outside, Wind carried a sound I thought impossible. Voices, a chilling harmony. They wanted out, so did they want in. A key from the journal fit an iron door behind the bookcase. It opened with a blood-curdling scream. A girl lay on a stained bed, eyes sunken and hair a lustrous mane of silver. Her name was Lila, trapped for decades as he fed them to keep their power contained. Now she stared at me, pleading in silence, until I set her free. With my flashlight casting eerie light, we fled together. The others chased us through the night streets, our desperate footfalls echoing off crumbling walls. In daylight, Lila found peace outside with a new name and hope of rehabilitation. As morning broke, Jenkins' cage was discovered. Another secret buried in this manor's history. His hunger for power had fed them too long. With a fragile heart, I called the police, knowing we might never find all their victims. At least they were free. My roommate returned home, shaken but alive. The shadows ceased their dance that night, and so did Jenkins' sinister presence in my life. A dark secret was exposed. The others no longer haunted us. But as I drifted to sleep, a shadow slipped into our room, watching from outside.